Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another review, this time of set 71824, Sora's Dragon Spinjitzu Spinner. This set retails for $10. It released this year. It's got 56 pieces, most of that being the launcher for the spinner. And pretty nice box art here. Sora, in the spinner with the dragon wrapping around it. Dragons rising at the bottom with Zane and a dragon. And then the back shows the other spinners released this year as well, which I also have reviews on, so you can go check that out. And then it's showing the simple process of how the spinner actually works in action, with a bit of neat art up at the top there, and the figure in 1:1 scale as well. Inside, you've got one bag of pieces and the large molded parts for the spinner. And then the instruction manual is a smaller one, so not going to be anything interesting on there. It's just going to be, the instructions. Pretty quick little build for that. But yeah, let's get it all built. All right, now that we have the set built, let's take a look first at the minifigures. First off, there is Sora in her new season 3 gear, which these suits I'm not particularly the biggest fan of. I don't think they're bad. However, really I think it's the lack of any shoulder armor that really kills it for me. Just a little something is always nice to give them a bit more, I don't know, something, a bit more oomph. But still a very nice looking figure. Got a lot of nice printing, little cat pendants and belts going down on the legs, some knee pads look like. The belt buckled in at one side over there. And then the back's pretty simple, just got a little cat logo and some more of those straps. And then underneath the helmet, 2 facial expressions, a smirk while using her elemental power, and then just an angry face, regular eyes. All in all, a pretty good figure, though not my favorite of the ninja suit. Then there is the Dragonian Warrior, and honestly, these guys are really growing on me as an enemy faction. I think, as far as I can remember from the other couple season 3 sets I've gotten with the Dragonian Warriors, they didn't have this top half of the helmet, which I think really seals the deal for me. It really makes them look like a pretty cool figure. And then the dragon in the back there can actually attach on to the back of the armor if you so choose, and a couple of the other season 3 sets have it like that. So the Dragonian Warrior has wings and everything, but just some really nice armor printing, that metal armor going all the way down, going onto his legs and everything, and then some scale printing underneath that and some claws on the bottom. And then taking off the helmet, mask, whatever, very angry facial expression with a whole lot of teeth in there. And then the back is just some scale detailing, some flames or whatever. All in all, a pretty cool figure for an enemy faction that I'm definitely fairly happy to have quite a few of. And then, of course, the little dragon I mentioned that can be attached. Right now, obviously, they have it just flying about. Nothing crazy you can do with it, but, position the wings whichever way you'd like. And then it's a pretty nice one mold for the base of it that I do like. Now, for the spinner itself, it's pretty simple. It's like the other spinners, which I also have reviews of if you haven't seen. But it's got the base here in Sora's colors, and then you can simply slot her in. She fits better if you take out the swords, of course, so you can do that. Slots all the way in, and then it's very simple. Make sure it's pushed all the way back in, and then just push down, and it launches. And obviously, I think you can push a little harder than that, and it'll spin even more, but they are pretty decent spinners. Obviously, I disassembled mine because they don't really go too well on a shelf. So admittedly, I've gotten all the spinner sets more for the figures than for the spinners themselves. But I think especially if you were a kid and you were playing a bit more with the spinners, I think they do work pretty good and they are pretty fun. Though, if I remember from pitting two of them against each other, they do kind of break apart a little easily because these are not tightly attached on. They're fairly loose connection. Stable enough to like stay still, you can hold it from it and it won't fall off, but still a pretty loose connection in there. So all in all, though, it is a decent little $10 set if you want a couple figures, and especially if you are getting it for a kid who is going to enjoy the spinner feature a little more. I definitely think it's a pretty good set for that. But that is all I have for this review. If you want to see more LEGO content, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, do all that, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.